And what we find is that when kids begin to identify with a sense of purpose and a sense of mattering, it gives them more reasons to want to learn.
That was the voice of this week's guest, Dr. Maurice Elias. Dr. Elias is a renowned psychologist, professor, and national leader in social emotional character development. He has spent more than 45 years at Rutgers University, where he directs the Social Emotional and Character Development Lab, and has shaped how schools understand emotional wellness, climate, and culture. He is the author of multiple influential books, including Emotionally Intelligent Parenting and the forthcoming Reinvigorating Classroom Climates. And his work has supported educators, parents, and young people across the United States and around the world. Dr. Elias brings a humbling honesty to this conversation. He talks openly about being a slow learner, about absorbing wisdom from the people around him, and about how deeply he believes in helping students feel that they matter, that they have purpose, and that school is a place where they are seen. In today's episode, we discuss 1. Why emotional experiences, not cognition, are the real engine of learning, and what schools must do to truly honor the humanity of students. 2. How a sense of purpose and mattering shapes student motivation, behavior, and long-term success. 3. What positive school climates actually look like, and the practical steps educators can take to build classrooms where students and teachers want to be. And 4. The pressure facing teachers today, the shortage of male educators, and why networks of support are essential for helping male educators stay and thrive in the profession. I hope you're ready for a rich conversation. Take out your notes, and let's start the show. As a male educator at your school site, it can get lonely. Only 23% of K-12 educators in America are male. And just think about what this gender gap means for your male students. They experience disproportionate levels of discipline. This is a show for male educators who want to feel more understood by their community and want to create emotionally safe classrooms and schools for the next generation of male students. Welcome to unMASKing with Male Educators. Dr. Maurice Elias, welcome to the unMASKing with Male Educators.
It's my pleasure to be here.
Thank you for making time today. Before we jump into our masks, what you want them to know about you, what information is important for them to know about you and your role or you as a man?
I think it's important for people to know that I am a slow learner, and I also have a great deal of respect for people around me and the way they learn. And I see myself, quite honestly, as sort of a quasi-vacuum cleaner. I try to absorb as much as I can from all those around me, and then I try to give it back in ways that are even more understandable than how it came into me. And I find that to be very, very important in the university. I find it to be important with my family, my children, my grandchildren, my colleagues. And so it's been an important and humbling experience to be in the position that I'm in as an academic. I've been at Rutgers for 45 years, and to lead with the idea that I don't know far, far more than what I know.
Thank you for that. I like that visual. I take it in, and then I give it back in that beautiful way. So thinking about that, since we're going to jump into our masks, you're, as an educator, the mask that we have to share, right? That we share with the world, on the outside, the front of the mask, the things that we gladly let people see, and then the back of the mask, the things that we don't usually let people see. Who do you want to go first? Do you want me to go first, or do you want to go first?
Well, I guess I started a little bit, so maybe I'll just keep going.
Okay.
So part of the front of the mask is you're supposed to be an expert. You're supposed to know everything. You're supposed to be able to handle everything.
Yeah.
You're supposed to be confident about everything. But for me, the back of the mask, the reality is that I don't consider myself an expert. I very often lack confidence in what I'm doing. I compensate for that with excessive preparation. But the back of the mask reality is that things don't come easily, even though the front of the mask makes it look like they do come easily. And I think that the other sort of mask dimension is that I'm very, very comfortable with people. But the back of the mask reality is that I'm not so comfortable with people. And so I find that I have to work it into personal relationships. And whatever the result looks like, people don't necessarily see the work that went into it.
Thank you. I like that. The first phrase you said that I was trying to write down so I didn't forget it, and then you said like I am. How do you remember how you phrased it? I'm a preparer. Like you said, I over prepare. Is that what you said?
Yes. I did say that. That that I seem to be very confident, but the reality is I over prepare.
Well, I'll as a in my educator mask, the mask that I want to share. So first of all, thank you. I resonate with a lot of that, and this idea that my ability to like say, okay, can I do all these things I really believe I really want to be doing? I want to be achieving at this level. I want to be uh, achieving these things. I have this big vision of reaching 1 million people around the world with this movement. And sometimes I'm just like, how? So on the front is like dreaming big, like aspirational, like wants to make a difference, caring and hardworking. And that's on the front. And I think it connects so deeply to the back. And basically how it resonates with what I heard you say is for me, like I have a huge fear of failure. So sometimes when a situation is happening in the moment, I'm already 5 steps ahead. Like I'm like trying to like the result of this not going well is potentially it's always a potential, but it feels real, right? It's like, oh, it can make that happen, and then that happens, and then that happens,
Yep.
and then I die, right? Like it always
Yep.
ends with me with a fatal moment, right? It's like, wait, what? Okay, just slow down. It's just an email, right? Or it's just a call, right? But like I'm always like future calculating, right? Because this is more than a job, right? For me, it's like is my
A passion.
passion, and I think even maybe sometimes I've unfairly put the pressure on myself that this is also my legacy. You know, I don't have kids. I don't have kids. I don't have a family that I've created. This is what I created. I created this movement, and sometimes I put the pressure for it to hold my. Ooh, I feel that right now. Like wow, I feel it to hold the exist that I existed. It has to hold the cards of the fact that I was here at some point.
Yeah. This is something that has entered into our work. The whole idea of the importance of people having a sense of purpose and also the importance of people feeling as if they matter. And these are two elements that weren't talked about very much in schools. They still aren't, but inroads are being made. And it's important because, there isn't anybody that really doesn't want to feel as if they matter. And the sad thing is that if you can't matter in a positive way, people will choose to matter in a negative way. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's not psychopathology. That can be chalked up to the fact that people aren't seeing their pathways, aren't seeing their opportunities to go positive. But my feeling is, my bias is that all other things being equal, people will go positive. But resources, circumstances, experiences sometimes just take away that sense of a positive path.
That's powerful. That's powerful. And I think that I see that as an educator when I was an educator in both high school, middle school, and public schools, charter schools. This idea like if you can't matter in a positive way, like you will find a way to matter in a negative way. And I think that's the same thing with students, right? If they can't get attention. I mean, sometimes attention is attention, right? They're looking for attention. Okay, I guess I'm going to call this person a name and make them mad. They're going to pay attention to me then, right? Like they don't want to.
Well, yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, I want to be sure that I'm here, and I think that this is something that we don't pay enough attention to. And the thing is that at the end of the day, one of the things we found out connecting to this idea of sense of purpose, kids don't walk into school just because they got nothing else to do. They have to go into school. And then the question is, what happens when they get there? Why should I learn math? Why should I learn algebra? Why should I read these books and try to get any meaning out of them? And what we find is that when kids begin to identify with a sense of purpose and a sense of mattering, it gives them more reasons to want to learn. You know, to me, it's not normal for a kid to want to read the great books. It's just not normal. But if you're telling me how reading the great books is going to help me achieve my purpose, I'll read the great books. And so, you know, at least in the US, there are 180 school days typically.
Yeah.
And each one of those days, a student should walk into that school building and feel like some good stuff is going to happen
Yeah.
because I'm here.
That's right. And I imagine that also for the students who are in the building, but also I think maybe even it also goes for the teachers, right?
Absolutely.
That they want to feel this idea of, I mean, I never planned to be a teacher. Teaching called me. I wanted to be rich. So when something inside me said, leave your engineering career, become a teacher, it wasn't because I wanted the
Be
check,
wealthy.
you
Yeah.
know? It
No,
was because
absolutely.
I wanted to give back. And when I was like doing a bad job at it, I was like, when I had kids not learning, I took it personal. You know? And it was like, you can't just fail my class. Like, you're too
Yeah.
smart. And so this idea that me also feeling like my value, my worth, my purpose was in doing a good job here. And it felt when I wasn't able to do that in the way that I hoped to do, it felt like it felt bigger than just this one kid in one class failing this subject. It was like, no, you are Ashanti, you're failing in life, right? Like it was it felt like a bigger thing, you know?
Yeah. Well, this is why I think teachers leave the profession. As you say, they're not coming in to get rich, but they are coming in to make a difference. They want to make a difference in the lives of these kids. And if the system doesn't let them do that, or constrains them, or in some cases even forces them to make kids' lives a little miserable,
Hmm.
well, then they ask themselves, why should I be doing this? And it's
Hmm.
a shame because so many people, as you were saying for yourself, feel called to teach. They want to do this. And it can be so disappointing when they're in a situation where that doesn't happen. So the work that we do is really focused on making schools places where people want to be, where the climate and culture of the school is positive and supportive and caring and kind and nurturing. People want to go to a place like that. Staff want to go there, students want to go there, parents want to visit there. And then once you're in a place like that, it's easier to learn. And you're also motivated to learn skills to be a better person, to learn the social, emotional competencies that help you do things in life. So to me, it really all starts with creating the classroom and school environment and climate. And then from there, the learning possibilities open up.
So what do schools need to do that? Like, I imagine you're doing work not only here in the States, but you're doing work around the world, right? So what are you seeing that schools need to do to like create a space to organize a configuration where
Yeah, first they have to believe it's important.
Hmm.
First they have to get the idea, and there's a lot of research on this now. They have to get the idea that what children learn and how they learn is actually mediated through their emotions,
Hmm.
not through their cognition. You know, for so many years, we expect kids would walk into their school, they put their coats in the locker, they put their books in the locker, and they put their emotions in the locker, and they walk around the school building, but they bring their emotions from outside the school into every classroom that they're in. And so these classrooms have to be places where kids are welcomed, where the teachers are using their names. Using a person's name is an
Hmm.
incredibly powerful thing. Using the kids' names, where kids have some say in how the class is going to run, where they're asked, what do you think? What kind of classroom would you like to have?
Mm.
and they co-construct the rules and the values with their classmates and with their teachers. And then when you co-construct the way things are going to run, you feel differently about it. And also, when things don't go well, the question becomes, well, you said you thought things should go this way, but now
Mm.
you're not doing that. What's getting in the way? It's a whole supportive climate. It's about classrooms where kids can ask about each other and learn about each other. It's so amazing. I don't know if you remember this experience from being a teacher, but it's so amazing that kids could be in a classroom for a year and maybe sometimes a couple of years with kids and not know very much about them. There's not an opportunity to find out, well, what music do you like? What pizza toppings do you like? What books do you read? Who's an important influence on your life? Have you ever been to a place where you felt a sense of awe and wonder? And kids like to talk to each other about these things. They don't like to talk to each other about who's gonna be a bigger influencer and who's gonna get more likes on social media and who's made the weirdest TikTok. This is not things that kids turn to by choice. They turn to this because they're being drawn that way and they have no other options. But when they have a chance to know their classmates, know their teachers, they love it. One activity we do in the beginning of the school year is we give the kids an index card. Now, of course, most kids don't know what an index card is, but we give them an index card and we tell them in June, there's going to be an assembly in the school. And the principal is going to convene it. And the principal's got an index card for every student. And they're going to read, what did this student accomplish this school year? And what you ask the students to do is, I want you to write down on this index card what you want the principal to say in June about you. And it's the most amazing activity. The kids, first of all, they do it and they share it with each other. And so all of a sudden you hear these higher aspirations, because very few kids say, I want the principal to say I set the school record for detention and suspension. No, that's not what they want the principal to say. They want the principal to say something good about what they did, something good about the way they are, who they are. And when the teachers see this coming from the kids, it's like an X-ray into the soul. They see a part of the kid that they haven't seen before. And it's so interesting because when you do that exercise, a lot of stereotypes, a lot of pretenses fall by the wayside, because the kids get into the idea of, well, this is going to be read about me in public. The whole assembly everybody's going to hear this. I care about this and I want it to be genuine. And, when your school is doing that kind of thing, you're having those kinds of caring and courageous conversations. And kids learn how to have those conversations. So it's not just expecting that they're going to all of a sudden just settle in and do this, but that they're built up to it. This is how you begin to make school into a place where people want to be. I can't wait to see what's going to happen tomorrow. What are we going to talk about tomorrow? And then the teacher starts saying, what are the kids going to share tomorrow? I'm looking forward to hearing that.
That's so beautiful. I think that task also taps into a part of the subconscious brain. Like, maybe I have not been thinking positive about myself, but if I can create it, if I can begin to put the words of what I want to be said about me, what I hope that they will say about me, then maybe I can manifest that thing, right? Like, maybe I can make that thing happen. Like, oh, I want them to say that he was kind and he was a hard worker and he helped others and he, like, So maybe I need to do that. If that's what I want to be said, not what I maybe previously had believed or what other people have said about me in the past, but if I can begin to create, I think it sounds really powerful. I love to hear how it goes because I think it actually sounds like a really powerful tool. We have a task that we invite young people to do in our workshops. The first task we ask them to do before we really even jump in is like write a letter to self, right? And I think that's context is what are you normally saying to yourself about yourself? And I think you get a mix, right? You get some people who are like, go get them, get ready, go hard. They say these positive, motivating things. And then some people, they're really honest about how hard they are on themselves, right? How
Yep.
how destructive their words are to self. And I tell them honestly that I am I am my meanest friend. I don't have people in my life who talk to me the way I talk to me, you know? And I use that activity because I want them to just know that whether they are really have whatever their self-talk narrative is, they can change it. And that's the goal of helping recognize that we're not alone when we're wearing these masks, right? So other people are thinking things about you, and sometimes they're thinking things really also probably similar things about themselves, you know?
Yep. Yeah. One of the interesting things about school is that you're going to learn things you don't know. So you spend a lot of your time in school not knowing. And a lot of kids from that come to see themselves as not smart and in need of fixing. And so we've adopted a saying that we call inspiration must precede remediation. And the idea there is that we spend too much time trying to fix kids and not enough time trying to inspire kids. So we need to talk to kids about who and what they find inspiring because inspiration, we know from our own lives that certain people, sometimes it's certain books, it's certain things, certain movies, whatever it is, but there are sources of inspiration in our lives that have moved us forward, kept us going, lifted us up when we've been down. And that conversation is missing from most kids. And so we start early and help kids start to identify with this idea of who and what they find to be inspiring.
I wonder, like, as you've seen this work, like, how does that help? How does the idea like, okay, I'm a kid at the school now. I I may have come in this ninth grade year not feeling very positive or inspirational about myself or significant. Like what is the either the importance or value to the students and staff to do that? Like what
Yeah.
have you seen or what do you see?
Yeah. I'll give you two examples.
Yeah.
In our social, emotional, and character development lab at Rutgers University, we developed a curriculum called Mosaic, Mastering Our Skills and Inspiring Character.
Hmm.
And in that curriculum, we had kids exposed to Maya Angelou and Cesar Chavez. And they read a poem of Maya and they hear Maya Angelou read it. And then they read it and they break it down, they look at it, they try to understand it. And they come away from that with such an appreciation for language
Hmm.
and also for her inspiration because she thinks so well and positively of people.
Hmm.
And then the similar thing with Cesar Chavez, they come to understand how, from his poor background, he was absolutely determined that people were going to be treated fairly and decently, and how he built a movement so that this could happen. And this is so important for kids to realize that nothing happens based on one individual alone. That individual has to be part of a team, a movement, and then great things can happen. And we see kids thinking just change as a result of being exposed to inspiring people like that and really trying to understand how did they do what they did. And the
Hmm.
thing about both Maya Angelou and Cesar Chavez are that they were not extraordinary from birth.
Mm.
Far from it. They overcame a tremendous amount. And there's very few kids can say, "Well, I had it worse than they did." No,
Mm.
no. And that turns out to be an inspiration as well, because we've got a lot of kids who feel they can't rise up because of where they are. And when they see that other people have done it, it's powerful.
Yeah.
You know, one of the things in some of the schools, a lot of the schools we work with, a lot of the boys in particular, although now girls are catching up because of Caitlin Clark, but boys in particular admire pro athletes
Mm.
and they want to be like them. I want to be like LeBron. I want to be like Steph Curry. And one of the things that we spend time doing is saying, you want to be like them? There's nothing standing in your way.
Mm.
But watch what they do to be them. And that's what's missing too. So they see how many shots does Seth Curry practice
Mm.
take? What does LeBron James do to get his body ready for games? I mean, come on. But this is what it is. And what makes them exceptional is that they do that. It's not that everybody has inborn gifts, but it's how they develop it that makes a difference. And so we want kids to reach their aspirations. We want them to know that there's a pathway, but they have to know the realistic pathway and not just a sort of well, I hope things are all going to work out.
The hope train, right? The hope train with no work behind it, no effort, no
Right.
activity, right?
Right. Exactly right. Exactly right.
What are
And
you Oh, go, keep going.
yeah, and I think this is where inspiration comes in and seeing a diverse group of people, different professions. The other thing is that kids have a very limited idea of what their vocational possibilities are.
Mm.
And so into our Mosaic curriculum, we build in career units just to make sure that kids know about the whole range of things that they could possibly do.
That's right. Like, thinking about that, and going further with, like, the systems of education, because 'cause you're there in New Jersey, I'm in California, we're on opposite sides of the country, but I imagine there's so many things in common too that we're seeing systemically. So what are you noticing that is happening on the systems level, right? Like, what are the current issues in education that, that could even include, like, why there's still so few male educators, but what are the systems things you're seeing in education that we need to either keep an eye on, work on, pay attention to, shine a light on?
Yeah, well, these issues of what schools should be like now is a big one. And the United States is pretty much divided up in two about that. You've got states that are like New Jersey, Massachusetts, California, New Mexico. These are states that have come to believe that we have to touch the minds and the hearts and the souls of children if we want them to learn.
Mm.
That preparing children to be educated for the future
Yeah.
requires us to be attentive to how they're thinking, feeling, acting, and not just the content knowledge of academic subject area. When I look around at the state of things in our country, I feel that education is at fault because
Mm.
we've gotten away from understanding that public education is designed to help prepare students to take on the roles of future citizenship. And every single student needs to be getting that kind of preparation. Every student should feel like they've got the potential to run for Congress, run for state assembly, be a judge, and understand what those roles are. We don't spend enough time helping kids understand, how does our democracy work? We don't just go into the voting booth every 4 years and, hit some button and
Yeah.
that's democracy. My gosh, no. It requires a lot of incredible problem-solving skills. It
Mm.
requires a lot of empathy. It requires a lot of self-control, a lot of negotiation, a lot of relationship building. I mean, this is all critically important, and it's not ancillary to what schools do. It's
Yeah.
central to what schools should be doing. Certainly, public schools should be doing this. California has taken a lot of strides in that direction, and it's very, very positive, and I think it's something people can be very proud of.
I know that, for me in education, in terms of like not only me as a teacher, but me as a now on the outside working with schools on the outside from this work, I've wanted to find a way to like when my students were in class and they weren't doing their homework and I was giving my speech for the week of like, why are you not doing the bare minimum? Like me just like feeling like helpless, but also like not willing to just ignore it, right? And I haven't given my 10th, 50th, of 180 days of school, 40 something weeks, or maybe 40 weeks. You're like, okay, this is speech 32. I thought we were going to be done after 25 and 12 and 9. And I thought it was going to take one speech. And I'm giving these speeches regularly. And you're like, I want you to see that this world is available to you, so many things, but you have to do the work. And to think that you can just wait till you're 18 and then life is going to just figure it out for yourself. I was really having these speech. I can remember some of them so well because I had to have them on repeat. And you have it in first period and you also have it in fourth period and fifth period,
Yeah,
right? It's not like you just have it
right.
once. You're like
Yeah,
similar patterns you're seeing. And I also saw this idea that young people in the urban area of Bay Area, Oakland, San Leandro, this Bay Area, they sometimes couldn't see how their small little not doing my homework now was showing up as something bigger down the line. It wasn't like if it's not that I'm trying to give you a hard time about one homework assignment. It's saying you have the ability to do it. You could have figured out the capacity and time to do it. Because I come here early, I stay at lunch, I'm here after school. I'll make a room for you to do it.
right,
And you're making a conscious choice. There's plenty of things that maybe happen unconsciously, but you're making a conscious choice. And not only just about the work, it's about what you believe about the work. Like, because ultimately the work may be hard. But if you believe that I'm here to help you, and if you believe that there are other people who can help you. So I always felt like I was having more than a conversation about math. I was a math teacher. Most of my speeches were not about math. Most of my speeches were about giving your best,
right,
trying,
right,
overcoming adversity, and recognizing that you have to work hard. And hard work means that sometimes it's going to be even hard, even though you worked hard.
right.
Right. I think I heard you say something about that. Like something about how your learning style is. You said it in the beginning. I forgot how you said it, but it was really beautiful because it was like, yeah, that part, right? Like I work at it. I don't get it the first time, second time, sometimes. It takes me a long time to learn.
Yep,
Yeah, that's what it was. That's what it was. That part right there, right?
yep. Takes a long time, but you hang in because you have a sense of purpose.
Yeah.
You hang in because you feel this is gonna be something. Now, another dimension of that is the fact that sometimes kids will do the work because of the teacher,
Hmm.
that the relationship with the teacher is the big ticket item. And now we're seeing less and less of that because kids retreat to their phones. They think they've got these other connections. They got these likes and other things
Mm.
that they think are more meaningful and
Mm.
powerful than real relationships. So of course, that's not true. One of the things that we do that we find helps bridge the gap a little bit, and we realize that kids don't know the backstory of a lot of stuff. They don't know the backstory of math. They think math was somehow beamed down by some horrible alien force that hates children. And what they don't ever, we hardly ever look at mathematicians and look at how did they come to create this math? What was
Mm.
going on in their life and times that
Mm.
led them to create this math? What problems were they trying to solve? Same thing is true with people in history. The same thing is true with people in science, visual and performing arts, physical education.
Hmm.
We don't help to get the backstory. Even the artists that kids like,
That's
they
right.
often don't know the backstory of.
That's right.
And that that's helpful for them to understand the backstory, to see the sense of purpose, to see the problem solving, to understand that
Mm.
work was involved here.
Mm,
that it just didn't happen. The light bulb just didn't go on.
mm,
There's a great quote. I don't have the exact quote, but there's a great quote from Thomas Edison that he was asked about whether or not he got frustrated because the first 900 times he failed to make a light bulb. And he said, on the contrary, every time I failed, I knew I was closer to success.
mm.
And that's an important lesson.
Dr. Elias, as we wrap this up, I want to ask you, just as you're doing this work in schools around the wellness, social emotional learning, and I don't know if you're noticing in many areas the lack of male educators, but where do you feel that we should begin pushing around that, around either whether we're pushing to say how do we attract more men to this profession, that having a profession where empathy and kindness and patience is very, very important, but also that we need males who can hold certain context for young men that are 50% of the student population, but the teaching population is not matched that.
Right. Well, we see that in many areas. But first of all, there's no shortage of caring, empathic, warm males. I mean, we got a lot of those. Coming into the teaching profession, first of all, people are underpaid. And this is a problem. But second of all, when they come in, the male students are so emotionally needy that they attack these male teachers. So not only am I a male teacher, and not only may I be starting my own young family, but now I got 60 other kids who want me day and night, weekends. They want and need me because of the stuff that's going on in their lives. So one of the things that I think is going to be helpful in bringing more males along and having them stay is to create networks of support for them, because there often may not be too many in one school, but there may be in a district, in an area. And I think, sometimes that mutual support is really can help people hang in to situations that otherwise are difficult. And, again, there are male educators who have managed these difficult tensions, and the opportunity to hear from them, what they did, how they did it, can help other people stay in the game.
Well, we so need that, and we so need that. Dr. Elias, it's been such a pleasure talking to you. I would like to know, are there any projects you're working on that you want people to know about, or any things that you're working on that you want people to take a look at or see? Is there anything that we can share with folks, or something you want to share with them, the
Well,
educators out there, the parents out there?
yeah. Well, I mean, two things. One is that I have a book coming out called Reinvigorating Classroom Environments, and it's about specifically focus on inspiring teachers to help students. It really takes a lot of what we've been talking about with regard to inspiration and brings people examples so that they can see. So the Reinvigorating Classroom Climates um, is coming out end of November. And the second thing is that I've written Emotionally Intelligent Parenting. This is sort of that vacuum cleaner process I was mentioning earlier, where
Yeah.
I've, as a clinical psychologist, as an educator, as a parent trainer, I've pulled a lot of things together and tried to set them in a book that people can find accessible. It's in English, it's in Spanish, it's in Portuguese, it's in German, it's in Dutch, it's in a whole bunch of languages. So it's something I'm very proud of. It's been around for a number of years, and I think parents might find that a useful resource.
Heard that, folks? Muy bien. Muy bien. That's so great. I'm so glad. And I'll put those in the show notes so people can get access to those. Thank you for being on the show. Thank you for the work you're doing. I think we have such a need in our schools more than ever. And we need to have more of these conversations. So we look forward to when it comes out, let us know exactly so we can get that out to folks as well. But
Right.
we'll put the note in the show notes in the meantime. And thank you for being a part of this conversation with me today.
It's a great pleasure. And, there is one more quick thing I want to just add, if I can.
Yeah, please.
And that is, there is an organization in California called SEL for California. It's SEL, number 4, CA.org. And you would probably find a lot of kindred spirits there. And these are people that should know what you're doing and probably don't.
Okay. Well, then we're going to reach out. Well, I'm going to tell them you sent us. I'm going to tell them you sent us.
SEL for CA.org.
We need it.
Those organizations exist in about 20 plus other states.
Okay.
But you're in California.
Yes,
so
yes.
That's what counts.
Let's do it. Let's get it. We'll reach out to them and I'll tell them you sent us.
Please do.
Right on.
All right.
Dr. Elias, thank you so much. Folks, Dr. Elias and I, we shared our masks here publicly. You don't have to share yours publicly. You can share yours anonymously at millionmask.org. So glad to be in this conversation with Dr. Elias. We'll talk to you again soon. Folks, be well. Take care.